this is going to be pretty tough to get out. But there's a chance that the freaking Texas Longhorns are going to be hoisting a national championship trophy in just 8 days. The good news for us OU fans is that they probably draw the one opponent that I think should beat them if they played on a neutral field like they will on Monday. Let's talk about it.
Let's go!
Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Before you go just thinking that your boy is just being a hater when it comes to the Longhorns and their chances of winning the CFP and national championship, hold on just a second. There's a reason why I'm saying it, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I do hate the Longhorns, okay? It has everything to do with something that if you aren't new to this channel, you've probably heard me say on numerous occasions. In big-time college football games, styles make fights. Styles make fights. And that is something we've talked about pretty often here on Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach. Most notably with Coach I of Fanatic Sports Network when talking about the 2022 CFP matchup between his Georgia Bulldogs and those Ohio State Buckeyes that gave them everything they wanted, despite being the second team coming out of the Big Ten after losing for the second straight year to Michigan. To put it plainly, it's kind of what I see happening this year too. And let me just make it clear that when it comes to Texas, I think that they match up better with the other two teams and would probably beat the other two teams more times than they would lose to them if you were to say play them 10 times each, right? I think that Texas is that team, the one team that would probably beat both of them a majority of times in a stretch like that, okay? I don't know that Washington can beat either of those other teams, Michigan or Alabama. That being said, much like the Ohio State Buckeyes of a year ago, this Washington team has something that I don't think that those other two teams have when you go up against Texas. And that's an advantage with what they're able to do offensively. And let me explain. Look, Michael Penix leads the nation in completions of 15 yards or more through the air. And the Huskies are tops in college football in passing yards per game at over 343 yards per contest. The Heisman runner-up, Penix, completed 66% of his passes in 2023, racking up 4,218 yards, 33 touchdowns, and just 9 interceptions on the season. Now, a year ago, Penix led the nation in passing yards, again throwing for more than 4,000 in his junior year up at Washington. And I think I feel like he was kind of screwed out of being a Heisman finalist a year ago as well. But look, if he has another big night in the semifinal in the Sugar Bowl Monday night against Texas, he's probably going to lead the country again when all is said and done in passing yards. And his chances of doing so are boosted by two things. Number one, the Huskies have the best receiving core in the country. Much like we saw a year ago with Ohio State. Number 2, relative to the rest of the playoff field, Texas has a really leaky secondary. These are 2 bad combinations for these Texas Longhorns, and it's the reason I can tell you that I think that this is a bad matchup for them, that they probably don't win, just like they didn't win it a year ago in the Alamo Bowl when they went up against this same Huskies team and quarterback. Okay. While Texas has a stable full of take the top off of the defense receivers led by Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, nobody's better than the Washington receiving corps when it comes to being lethal. 6 Washington pass catchers have had multiple touchdown catches on the season, and they are led, of course, by Rome Odunze, the 6'3", 215-pound junior wide receiver who had 81 catches this year for more than 1,400 yards, 17.6 yards per reception, and 13 touchdowns. Also coming up big for the Huskies this season has been Jalen Polk, the sophomore receiver at 6'2", 204, who had, 60 receptions and 1,000 receiving yards, along with 8 touchdowns on the year. They also got a big contribution from Jalen McMillan, who only played in 7 games this season, but led the way for all receivers in the Pac-12 championship game win over Oregon just a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. Look, even the tight ends are getting in on this, though, as well. In fact, there were 3 tight ends that caught touchdowns from Penix this season as well, led, of course, by Jack Westover, who had 31 catches on the year for 371 yards, 4 touchdowns. Look, this passing attack is just that good, okay? Just that good. In short, I can say this. This pass offense has been too much to handle for good secondaries this season. And really, you can't call what Texas has a great secondary. They're ranked 93rd in the country in pass yards allowed in FBS this season, giving up 3,131 yards through the air this year and at more than 11 yards per catch. Put it to you this way. When they needed a big stop in the Red River shootout, they couldn't get it. And there was only 1:15 left. Dylan Gabriel sliced and diced through the secondary with ease, going 4 for 4 in under a minute and getting the go-ahead touchdown that turned into the game-winning touchdown with about 17 seconds left in the game. That was Texas's lone loss of the year, and they struggled being able to shut down the multiple receivers with game that they saw from the OU Sooners. Okay? Plain and simple. Again, styles make fights, folks. I can tell you this, as good as they are offensively, because as we all know, Steve Sarkisian is one of the top offensive minds in the country. He has offensive weapons at every position. They're balanced. They have good running backs. They probably have the second best tight end in the country. And they have 2 of the best receivers in the country as well. They can go out there and put up points, along with a gifted quarterback as well. This is a good football team all the way around. Defensively, in the trenches, there may not be anybody better in their front 4. Okay. Their linebackers, definitely one of the best linebacking units in the country as well. The secondary, that has been the one place that you've seen them struggle at all this season. Okay. That's not good going up against the best passing attack in the country. Okay. It's just not good going up against that. Now, another thing that's going to hurt them, as good as they are in the trenches defensively, and getting to the quarterback. They had 32 sacks on the season, did Texas. The Husky O-line, they've done a hell of a job keeping Michael Penix clean. This Joe Moore award-winning O-line given to the top unit in the country each year has almost never allowed Penix to even get hurried, much less hit in the 2023 season. They've given up only 11 sacks all year in 13 games, and most of the time, Penix has stayed real clean. Okay? That's tough. It's going to negate that vaunted pass rush that's, at least in the top 50 in the country when it comes to sacks. They've done a good job of getting hurries as well in Austin. Okay. When you add that to the fact that secondary is going to struggle, now you have to hope to probably dial up some exotic blitz packages or something like that, which are going to take away defenders that you hope will somehow be able to slow down this unbelievable receiving core of Washington. That's the game that you're going to play there. Now, again, I think that overall they match up really well as far as both offenses being really explosive. Washington averages a few more points a game than does Texas, but Texas has looked even better. They've looked better and better all season offensively, particularly since they got Quinn Ewers back from an injury he sustained midway through the year that kept him out a couple of games. What I'm going to tell you is, in the end, it's going to boil down to who has the best players. I think that UW is just better where it counts. And it's one of those, again, styles make fights kind of deals that if without getting to Michael Penix, making him get off platform for his throws and off schedule as well, you're going to have a hard time, even with a really good secondary, slowing them down. I don't see that happening. Now, if you get in a shootout with this Washington Husky team, that puts you at a disadvantage too. Particularly when, look, not for nothing, Steve Sarkisian has shown a tendency to be a little vanilla and a little hesitant to turn Quinn Ewers loose. Quinn Ewers himself has been a little hesitant at times to hit the deep pass in favor of easy stuff underneath. You saw some of that in the Oklahoma loss as well. Look, I don't doubt that this Longhorn team can beat either of the other two teams in the playoff, Michigan or Alabama. We've already seen them beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Now, is Alabama a better team than they were in week 2? Absolutely. Have they cleaned up a lot of the problems that caused them problems and caused them to lose that game to Texas as well? Yeah. Do I trust in Nick Saban more than I trust in Steve Sarkisian to win that game in a rematch? Of course. That being said, that doesn't mean they can't beat them. I still don't believe that. First off, I don't think that Michigan gets out of the Alabama game with the win. But I think that the things that they do, they don't match up as well with Texas as would a Washington or even an Alabama's team. I think that the way that they like to play will probably play into the hands of Texas if they were to go up against them. Again, the best team to beat Texas is the team that they open with. That's just the way I feel about it. I believe that this is a guy, and this is an attack for the Washington Huskies that can make trouble for Quinn Ewers, Steve Sarkisian, and these Texas Longhorns, who, aside from this game, I think that they have a really good shot. If they do get past this Washington team, watch out. Us Oklahoma fans are going to hate life because chances are they're going to be hoisting that trophy. I really do believe that. So, is it wishful thinking? To some extent, yeah. But don't forget, a year ago, this same Washington team beat largely the same Texas team too, at the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. And while it was 27-20 final score, Washington controlled the game throughout. In order for Texas to be able to win this game, they're going to have to find a way to get a turnover somewhere. They're going to have to find a way to shut down and get some pressure on Michael Penix. And I don't think that they can afford to get into a shootout. Maybe I'm wrong, but again, as I say, styles make fights. And the style of game that the Washington plays is a dangerous, dangerous game for these Texas Longhorns. Hey, let me know what you think in the comments. Am I out of my mind? Is there no way that this can go down? Is Texas going to blow Washington out of the game? Hey, all I'll say is this. I like Washington's chances a hell of a lot more than I'd like anybody else's chances of beating them. But just so everybody understands, horns down. Let's go UW. We're all rooting for you right here. See you guys on the next one.